Good afternoon and welcome to ULT. Today is the 8th of April. It is Tuesday. And this is my trade review for today. And what a day it was. It was a tricky day. The market was kind of consolidating a lot, moving. It was moving a lot, but it was moving within a range, which is tricky. And with these trades, you really have to have kind of sniper entries. You got to wait for the good setup. You've got to take the entry right at the entry price. And things generally work out pretty good. But days like today are hard. They can be tricky. So we'll go through it. Lots of opportunities, lots of good trades setups today. I only took a few of them because I didn't really care for the movement of the market much. But let's get into it. Let's look at the specifics. So here was the day. Of course, we opened the day at 8:20. That begins our opening 15-minute range right here. I have that plotted out. There's an indicator that automatically plots it out for me along with the extensions for that opening range. And actually, you know what? I'm going to change there we go. I'm going to change just to the cursor here. It's a little less distracting maybe. So we opened the day dropping quite a bit, right? We'd kind of been up here. If we look at earlier in the day, we've been on kind of this march up, creating new highs, took a couple bounces, and then rolled over into the open. So here we are in the open. We get our first trade set up right here against the red line, the gold line. Now, as I said yesterday, the red line isn't a line that I really pay attention to much this early in the day. So really, this is a gold line trade, even though the red line is right there. I mean, that's good. But that's not the basis of the trade. Okay. The basis of the trade is our gold line, which again is a 45 EMA. We come up here, get ticked in right at the break of this candle. Obviously, as soon as this green candle hits, technically the entry should be below that candle. You can't really see the wick of it because the opening range line is right there. I think it's right about in this area. Anyway, we get a much better candle here. And then as this little doji candle forms, I moved my order up here. We got ticked in, 10 ticks profit, pretty much. Well, this one wasn't right away. This one did make me a little nervous because it was I didn't necessarily love that we chopped down here and then we had this little bump on the way into the line. That doesn't disqualify the trade, but it's not the perfect pullback. But it worked. It worked. And that's why we don't trade feelings. We don't trade what we think the market is going to do. We trade what our trade plan tells us to trade. Valid setup worked great. We came down here. We do create a little bit of a low with a pullback to the green line, but there's no space. Create a lower low here. Now this one isn't below here. Better low would be a low below this low. But this is a pretty big pullback here. We got a nice pullback into the green line. We got space. I felt like there was plenty of opportunity here. It's a valid trade. I took it and it worked. So that worked out really well. From there, we bounce below here and pull up here. This is not marked as a valid entry because I looked at this as a third touch. I only take the first and second touch of the green line, unless we're in like some sort of like continuing, all day kind of a trend. Anything after the second touch, meaning the third touch, fourth touch, fifth touch, I don't take. This one would have, actually it would not have worked, right? So it's good I didn't take it. The reason it would not have worked is I probably would have got ticked in below this candle and then stopped out before it did come down. So we got lucky. The rules saved us. Again, I looked at this. We were above the green line. We crossed below the green line. We had a pullback. This wasn't a pullback that was a valid entry, but it is a pullback that I would count as a touch. Touch one, pull back to touch two, pull back, touch three, and then up we go. So we do push up. This one is not a valid gold line trade. I see this right here as the pivot that was broken. I think this would have worked. If you'd have got in below this candle here, it did go 15 ticks. That would have worked, but it broke that pivot. So not a valid entry per the rules. Up here, this one is a little messy. I do count this as a valid trade. I didn't take it. Again, the the pullback just wasn't nice. I think it does go far enough. It goes 20 ticks. So we'd get our 10 tick scalp. And again, that's why I like the 10 tick scalp, even though, we'd love to get lots more out of our trades, and most of these go much further than the 10 ticks. I found that the 10 ticks just is consistent for me. So I go with that. Anyway, I looked at this as a valid trade. You could have said this is a broken pivot, maybe in this area here. But when I see price action going sideways within a candle, so we have an impulsive down candle and we have like 4 candles that all the price action is kind of inside that candle, so that's, to me, that's not enough to make this a broken pivot. So I would count that as a valid entry. We break below the lines again. And again, this is this up and down and up and down and up and down. So it's tricky. It wasn't price action I was comfortable with at all. We get this low. Again, it's not lower than this low, but because we came from the other side of the red line, all right, so price broke way down here. That's a good enough pivot for me. We get a pullback. There are 3 candles of space between the gold line, or between the green line and this pullback, and price is below the red line, so we're going short. Obviously that would have worked fine. I did not take that trade either. Just like I said before, I'd already had 2 wins. I didn't want, why risk it? In my mind at this point, if I take a full loss on this trade, I'm back to break even, and it's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. So I didn't do it. Price comes down here. It pulls up. You could have said this in here might have been a valid kind of gold line, red line touch, but at this point, the lines are just so close together. I don't have a rule specifically about that, but if your lines, I mean, these are like momentum kind of trend trades. And right here, there's no trend. We're just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I don't like it. I don't think this would have bounced 10 ticks. Well, 114. So yeah, if you got in at the right spot, if you were that sniper and you had your order right here, it would have come down. You would have been fine. You would have made it, even though it didn't come back very far. The market is moving a lot, so it doesn't, relative to the average candle size, we don't need a lot of movement for my 10 tick profit. Anyway, price pushes up. Obviously, it pushes up. It does pull back to the green line, but we don't have 3 candles of space. And it's just choppy. We create a new high over here. We pull back with this huge wick. I was about to get into this one, but it happened so fast I missed my entry, and I don't re-enter if I miss my perfect spot. 117 ticks, I would have been fine. Would have been lucky because then over chop. Again, we get another gold line touch right here. This is just so choppy though. I mean, this is another one I didn't take, but it would have worked out. This one, because you're above the open range, here's the top of our right here. We kind of broke out here. We're kind of consolidating here, and we were really losing steam through here. And that's usually a good sign that it's going to turn around. So there are a couple of things that, we're giving you hints that this might. Obviously that candle just shot right up there. So again, a valid trade I didn't take. And then it rolls over. We get to the end of our 11 o'clock session. So that was it. That was the day. Again, a tricky day, price up and down, a lot of movement, still a lot of volatility in the market. Just trying to stay really tight to the rules. None of these trades would have failed if you got in at the right spot. So let's look at the, here's the summary. The way Ninja Trader does this is kind of weird. It says I took 3 trades. You can see on the chart I only took 2. The reason it's showing 3 trades is because it actually, if you go to the executions, you can see it broke up. This is kind of trade 1 here. We went short with 2 contracts, but it got out in 2 separate transactions. It sold 1 and 1. And then this one, or it bought 1 and 1 rather, right? We covered 1 contract at a time, sold 2, bought 2. So I think that's what it's looking at, is it's looking at this one as the third trade. So that's a little, I guess, misleading, but anyway, there's the numbers. 100% today this is my actual win rate in my PA accounts with Apex. Again, if you find this information interesting, I'd appreciate if you'd hit the subscribe button. That'd be awesome. Again, and if you want to open an account with Apex Trader Funding, Code ULT will get you the best discount. I think they're 50% off right now. They don't have any big deals going on at the moment. But ULT will get you whatever the best deal is at the time. So that's all I've got for today. So trade safe, everybody, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.